Hello and welcome to another episode of Premier League Overtime. Great to have you on board once again this week. Of course, Sam Tugwell here and Doug McDonald-Taylor here as well. Welcome to the show once again, mate.
Thanks, Sam, and hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in for another week, a big week in basketball and another big show coming up.
Absolutely. Big show, of course, as we take a look at all of the rounds action that has just been and gone. And of course, we're going to take a look at another player who is doing the rounds in the competition and doing some fantastic things. And she is sitting to our left today. It is Tavarsha Scott from the Woodville Warriors Basketball Club. Tavarsha, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, and good. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's fantastic to have you on. You're performing very, very well at the moment, so we'll take a look at all of your basketballing performances so far this season in a moment. But first we'll take a look at the results from round 8, and it has been quite a good one and a little bit different to what we've seen. I guess it's been quite stock standard with the same teams getting wins, but this week we've seen sides like South Adelaide especially get some very, very big wins over Central Districts in both men and women there. That's their first for the season in both those comps. Norwood getting a very big win against the Sturt Sabres in the men's comp. And the same for the Flames over in the women's. They just remain undefeated. They're phenomenal. The Tigers keep rolling on in the women's as well with their 4th win in 5 rounds, so they're doing incredibly well. And the Eastern Mavericks getting a very good win there as well in the men's game. They're first for the season also. So some really good results in there. I guess some uplifting results, I guess, for some clubs.
Yeah, definitely, Sam. It was really good to see Eastern and South get some wins on the board. They've been reasonably close in both the men's and the women's, this year, as we've documented. So good to see them get another win. We'll
start with the South and Central's game, I guess, with South finally breaking that really long winless streak that they've had for both men and women. But we'll look at the men's especially. They got up over the lines by 10 points away from home as well with a 95-point game. And it was Matt Daniel, the young man from the Panthers, who scored 38 off the bench. That was phenomenal.
Look, that's an amazing achievement. It's his 3rd game of the year, and his first 2 outings were solid, but nothing like 38 points at 13 from 19 from the field, Sam. Pretty good effort. But not only that, it was good to see. It was a pretty even support cast for South as well. They had 4 other guys in double figures: Bowl, Gardner, Coleman, and McKenzie all chipping in. So. Big first half, and they were able to hold off the Centrals. And look, Nelson Larkins were probably best for the Lions with 22, and good to see young Cohen Sapwell chip in with 11 points. But that's a win. I reckon Centrals would have gone in thinking they were going to get that. So good to see South on the board, and Central's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, with that form the Lions had for a while there, I thought they would have actually got that win, but it was the other way around, especially up there at Starplex. So a massive win there for the Panthers, and they'll probably look to continue that form hopefully in the next few weeks indeed. Okay, crossing over to Eastern and North that happened on Sunday afternoon up at Mount Barker. And something also we didn't expect was the Eastern Mavericks to come out and shock the Rockets up there at home. And at first win for the season for the Mavericks men. It was fantastic to see them get across the line in a really tight game. They were persistent the whole way to the finish. I think Luke Pike was fantastic with 25 points for the Rockets. Just kept getting those buckets in at the end of the game to really keep the Rockets fighting for that last those last couple of minutes to get that win. But Hayden Barnes was especially good for the Eastern Mavericks getting that win there for the home side. So they were very, very impressive, and good to see the Eastern men get a nice win there as well. But I guess we'll head on over to Norwood and Sturt as well in the men's comp while we're at it. And from the word go, the Flames pretty much had this one in the bag. They gave Sturt a really good run for their money at Pasadena, and they won 80-59. And Lysett and Daniel Webber were the stars of the show.
Yeah, definitely. Lysett's having a great year, Sam, and another 19 points and 7 boards for him. Look, at the first half set up the win. It was 44-27 at half time, and that's always tough to come back from, and Sturt weren't able to do it. It's good to see, though, Norwood aren't quite relying on their big 3. I mean, their big 3 is Andrew Webber, Lysett and Holmes, but Andrew Webber didn't actually get a field goal in this game, which is pretty rare. But young Matt Long stepped up, having his best game for the year, 15 points and 9 boards, which is good to see. And like I said, they're not relying on those big 3. A couple of weeks ago, they had the Irishman O'Boyle go for 27 points off the bench as well. So they're getting some good contributions from a number of players. And they're going under the radar a little bit with the Southern Tigers having such a good year and everyone's talking about them, but Norwood are quietly doing their thing, getting the wins and good contributions, and they're looking very good at coming up towards the halfway mark of the year.
Yeah, I guess you're going to say, like, in the shadow of the Southern Tigers for a while, the Norwood men, they won the championship last year. We shouldn't be surprised by their form, but yeah. I guess, just the emphasis, everyone's been looking at the Southern Tigers and thinking they're the team to beat. Norwood are just as good, if not better. So we've seen them play together already, those two sides. It'll be really good to see them face up again later in the season now that they know each other a little better. Speak of Southern Tigers, they took on West Adelaide in the women's game as we take a look at some of their games. And Southern have flown under the radar as well. 4-1 in the last 5 rounds, the women. They're now sitting in second place in the women's comp. Mind you, they have played one extra game due to a schedule which is a little bit different. They played their round 10 game last weekend as well against Central. So they've got an extra win on the board. They're 6-3 and they're in a fantastic position right now. 13-point win over the West Adelaide Bearcats up at Port Adelaide. Rutland, Cunningham and McKendrick all performing for the Tigers, and they were just phenomenal once again. Yeah,
once again it was a start, Sam, that set it up for them. 27-12 at quarter time. It's a 15-point gap and they ended up winning by 13, so that was probably the difference. But once again, even contributions. And we talked them up early and they went through a little bit of a slump, but they've certainly come out of that, winning the last 4 or 5 and looking good second on the ladder, and once again they're getting good even contributions. In that slump period they only had sort of 2 or 3 scorers, but now they're getting good 4, 5, 6 contributors offensively, and they're keeping the opposition down on the score as well. So both ends of the court working well. Stana Sezevic was big for Westies, 21-9, but it wasn't enough, and they're around the mark, Westies, but they're a little bit inconsistent. So, they're still only a game or 2 out of the finals, or the top 5. So they're around the mark, but they've got to start getting more wins against these the top 5, 6 teams. Yeah, that's it. They're a competitive team, but they just need to bring it to those big games as well. So Westies have a big job on their hands, especially, and the Tigers just keep doing their thing. Meanwhile, Woodville took on the Forestville Eagles, and that is Tavarsha's side. Of course, they went on and took on the Eagles. And unfortunately, after a good start, a competitive game in the first half, the Eagles ran away with it with a 44-29 second half. Tavarsha, you top scored with your side with 18 points. What do you think led to your girls falling over in that second half?
It was just like you mentioned earlier, like the consistency of the players. We didn't compete well in the third quarter when we usually bring it through in the third quarter, but we started off fast, and then we kind of stooped down to their level, and it came up short. So,
did you find Olivia Thompson, Samantha DeFrancisco, who just continue their brilliant form, did you find them hard to defend?
Yeah, Olivia Thompson was really hard to defend. So she's like, 6'2", 2-ish? Yeah, she's a pretty good player. Like she crashed the O boards. You have to really box her out. So it was kind of hard guarding her, and she can shoot. She's just a great player all around. So.
Something for you guys to look at in the next couple of weeks in terms of defense?
Yeah, we have to box out more in practice and just work on our game in practice and compete more in practice as we would in a game.
I think your team seems to be pretty sound defensively. You've been involved in quite a few low-scoring games. Probably one worry for you guys is twice this year, I think against Sturt in the final quarter and against Westies in the third quarter, you guys were kept to 2 points in the quarter. So you seem to go periods where you have trouble scoring, and which is it's tough to post a winnable total when you're going a whole quarter without scoring. Are teams locking down on you guys in certain periods of the game, or why do you think that's happening?
I think it's basically like they've heard about our zone offense pretty well. I'm guessing they heard from other teams that we didn't play that we struggled trying to score against the zone. So third quarter, that's where they switch on. They're in zone most of the time, and we rarely score. Okay. So it's kind of a bad thing. We got to work on it through practice and get through it, basically.
You seem to have fitted in, though, into that group there at Woodville really, really well, just in a very quick, short time, coming, of course, from America yourself. How good has it been for you to fit into that group so quickly and be comfortable in your shoes at that club?
Well, me talking about myself, I mean, I'm a very outspoken person and outgoing person. So, like, coming on with the team, we just got in from day one. Like, I met, like, Tess rebounding the ball. Like, in practice, when we go against each other, if I'm going for the rebound, she's right under me. So it's like we had that connection of, like, when she's falling down under me, I have to pick her up. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a connection that that I don't think anybody else could have with their teammates, because like we just connected from day one. So I don't know.
That's great.
It's kind of crazy.
And why Australia? Why is how did you come out here?
My agent, I mean, it's a long story behind it, but my agent got me onto it, and I think it wasn't any other choice for me coming. I mean, going anywhere else. So, and what better way of starting your career out playing basketball than Australia? Because, I mean, y'all speak English just like just like I do.
It's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah, good start.
Are you enjoying your time here?
Yes, it's very enjoyable. I love it.
The competition itself, the Premier League, of course, it's been around for many, many years. It's had a big rebranding the last couple of years. It's just starting to find plenty of new fans coming out to the game. Are you enjoying the atmosphere and what the competition brings?
Yeah, I am. I really am. Coming from a big D1 or whatever, we had like over 50,000 in the fan stands, but
a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but you know, it's not bad at all. I actually like hearing people on the side saying like what I'm doing wrong or how to hold me, or you know. So it's fun. It really is.
It's a good different.
Yeah, it's a good different.
It's a good different.
I like playing in a small atmosphere. I don't know, it's weird, but I like it.
Can't complain at all when it's always something. I guess it's a good thing to have a different atmosphere, I guess, to what you used to, because I mean, focus levels, concentration levels changes your game. Does that, in fact, you know, the fact that you've come to Australia in a different country, different people, does that change your confidence levels in your game?
Yeah, it does. I mean, as an importer, they expect more out of us, so I think that our train of thought is to dominate when you get on the court. So that's just basically what my train of thought is. Sorry.
You're having a great year. You're averaging almost 22 points a game, almost 15 boards a game. You know, they're WNBL numbers. WNBL is our national league. Is that is that an aspiration of yours to try and make the national league out here?
Yeah, it really is. Just hearing about it and being able to play and get the exposure from the clubs, I mean, I really would like to go on to the next level if that's what my skill level takes me. So.
Well, your numbers are certainly a message to the selectors at the moment. As the season, I guess, just came to a close earlier, but as the season goes on, you're certainly on your way there.
Well, just to put it in perspective, Sam, I mean, Olivia Thompson, who's, you know, obviously a premier player in the league, is averaging the same amount of points and boards just about. So, and she plays in the WNBL, so you're certainly around the mark. So, you know, hopefully that could be on the horizon.
I was just going to ask as well, what sort of goals have you had since a young age to sort of, you know, reach a higher level? Yeah,
my goals were coming from such a small town in Louisiana, in America. My goals were to go out, play ball, make the best out of it. I really didn't think I'd be coming this far, but it's a good experience, and wherever it takes me, that's where I'm going to go. Yeah. It's
a great story so far, isn't it, Doug?
Yeah, definitely. It's great to have people like Tavarsha, you know, from other countries coming in and playing in our league. It's fantastic.
The expectation of, just quickly, I guess, slowly start to wrap up on the fact that you have come from America. The expectation you bring as an import, is that do you find that a positive thing to your game?
Yeah, it is, because they expect more of us, and that's what I'm willing to give. Like, I go out all out effort. So it's like whatever the coach asks of me, that's what I'm going to do. So it's like doing whatever you have to do to win a game and show the coach what he brought you in for.
That's exactly. I spoke to some Forestville people who you're up against on the weekend, and one thing they said is Tavarsha has an enormous work ethic. You know, you hit the offensive boards hard, and you just go flat out the whole game. And you know, sometimes you get imports come in who don't have that attitude and just try and go off their talent. But Tavarsha seems to have not only the talent and the skill, but also the work ethic to make it out here. So you're doing really well so far, and keep up the good work.
Sticking to that game. Well, we've got a big game. You guys have got a big game against the Southern Tigers, who we've already spoken about in this show, are going really, really well at the moment. Have you girls spoken about what sort of plans you've got set for them?
Well, we're practicing tonight, training tonight, so hopefully that's when we're gonna get onto them and see what we need to bring to the table.
It should be a very interesting game indeed. We'll take a look at the ladders after round 8, of course, and we'll take a look at the women's there first with Tavarsha's side down at 6th place, but they've got an even record of 4-4, so it's not ugly. They're going quite nicely. They just need to get themselves 1 or 2 wins to pump themselves back into that top 4 or 5 section there, but it is starting to prove its distance with Nord up the top, undefeated, 8-0, and the Southern Tigers and North Adelaide with 6 wins. Also Forestville with 6 wins there as well. So going very nicely indeed. I think Southern came from about 7th or 8th spot as well early on in the year, so they're doing very nicely to push themselves up into 2nd after 9 games for themselves. And as we look at the men's, the top 3 really are starting to show their distance now as well, with 6 wins from Woodville at 3rd and then 4 wins for Forestville at 4th. So now the division starts to show. We've been seeing a very tight and very easily changeable top 6 or 7 for the last 7 rounds, but now it's really starting to show who the big teams are, and you just see there Southern, Nord and Woodville all with 6 wins, 7 wins and 9 wins up the top of the ladder there. So of course, as we go from those ladders, I guess it's only fitting to have a look at what games are coming up this weekend. It's all Saturday night. If you want to go somewhere on Saturday night, take a look at some of these games and consider heading on down, because there are games all across town. North Adelaide taking on Sturt at Hillcrest. That should be a very, very good game in a couple there, Doug, I would thought.
Yeah, that is a very good doubleheader. In the women's, both North and Sturt are around the mark. They're in the 5, and in the men's, both coming off losses, so they'll both be out to rectify that. So that's a huge doubleheader, Sam. And
then South Adelaide take on Eastern there, both toward the bottom of the ladder, but again, some win chances there for both sides.
Someone's going to get their 2nd win, and look, in the men's, I'll definitely go with South. With Daniel coming up, scoring big, and if they can get that win, it gives them 2. Then they're only 3 games out of the finals, which is funny to think after losing the first 6 or 7. So, hopefully for South they're turning things around.
That would be a really good sign for them. West Adelaide take on Nord. That's out at Port Adelaide. That should be really tight as well. So I look forward to that. Austral Sports will be down at St Clair for Tavarsha's Woodville Warriors as they take on the Southern Tigers on Saturday night. So the cameras and the spotlight will be on at St Clair, so no pressure.
That's a must win, I think, for the Woodville girls. I think you've lost 3 of your last 4. Yeah. So, and Southern Tigers is one of the teams that have displaced you in the top 5, and talent-wise, I think both teams are about the same. So you've got the home court. You lost it on the weekend. That is a huge game for you girls.
Yes, it was.
Of course. And then the final game, Forestville and the Central Districts at Woodville Stadium, right in the heart of town. So much basketball to get out to and take a look at. Doug, we've already spoken about which games are going to be great, but I guess you've got to pick a favourite. Who do you think you would go to if you had to pick one of those 5 games? Because they are just red hot.
One of those, well, they are absolutely. I think for the women's, I would definitely see the Woodville Southern game. A lot on the line there. Woodville really need. They don't want to. They're a game or 2 behind Southern now, so they need to bridge that gap. And in the men's, well, you'd almost go the same, wouldn't you? Woodville are in a great form. They're sitting 3rd. Nelson Kirksey. Actually, that's one thing I want to ask you. Nelson Kirksey from the men's Woodville team. Have you had a chance to see him? Because he's having a fantastic year.
He's great. He's a great guy off the court and on the court. So, yeah, he's pretty good too. Well, that's
obvious.
Sorry, obviously.
That's fine. He's having a great year, and I was speaking to the Forestville guys, and they said that he's probably one of the most all-rounded imports that we've seen in this league for a while. He does everything. He's a good defender. He can carry the ball. He can get to the basket. He can hit down the open shot. And like Tavarsha said, he's a good bloke as well. So, you know, Southern hasn't really been tested yet. No. So hopefully Woodville, we keep saying that, you know, they're going to have a test, but I think this Woodville team will take it to them. So Woodville Southern, Sam, my pick of the doubleheader.
I would definitely head on down to that because I am at Austral Sports, of course, as we've already mentioned. We'll be having a look at how Tavarsha and Nelson will go down there at St Clair Stadium. Should be a belter. Doug and Tavarsha, thank you so much for coming on board, Tavarsha especially.
Thank you, Tavarsha.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming along. And Doug, of course, back again next week, I'm sure.
Back again next week. Everyone get out to a game, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you once again for tuning in to Premier League Overtime. Always great to have you on board, and we'll catch you next week on the next episode. Bye for now.